Hey everyone, and welcome back to a very different video than usual. Because today's video isn't as much about giving out information as giving a mission to all of you out there. And should you accept this mission, it will possibly lead or at least increase the chances of the Blue Bomber Mega Man getting another sequel. Maybe a new Mega Man X game, or at least a remake of some of the classics. So if you're as big of a Mega Man fan as I am, and you want to do everything you can to make sure that the series gets a new entry, well, today's video is definitely one you're going to want to check out. So now all this brings us to the Captown Capcom website, which if you're not already aware of its existence, is basically a website that's been set up to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Capcom. And if you're wondering how you can actually get here, I'll be leaving the link down below in the description of the video and the top pinned comment. Now, once you're actually on the hub here, what you can actually do here is way bigger than what we're going to be looking at today. We're going to be focusing on one element, and that is the element I'm talking about, which might give us a huge chance of actually getting Mega Man a sequel. But this hub world is divided up into many different sections. Like if we look at the bottom left here, you have the Resident Evil section where you can look at history of the Resident Evil games. You can look at a bunch of artwork going through the museum. There's basically a lot to see on the website, more than what we're actually going to look at today. Oh, and actually, before I forget, there is one other section we are actually going to look at, and that is at the top right here. We have the retro games section. Now, if you click on that, what is really, really interesting is you can currently play a bunch of classic Capcom games directly in your browser. Now, you can play on your cell phone as well, but trust me, a lot of these games are much better experiences if you have a controller. You could do it with your phone with a Bluetooth controller, but I think most people are going to want to play with a controller on PC. It's going to give a really good experience. And some of these great classic games are games that Capcom are currently charging for in different collections. Like you can play Breath of Fire 2 in the original Japanese or English version. Most of these games, by the way, have both the English and Japanese versions. You can play Captain Commando. You can play Ghosts and Goblins, even Mega Man 1 and 2. As well as even Mega Man X, which I would say is probably one of the best games in this whole collection here. I mean, even Street Fighter 2 is here. And I've got to say, they run actually really well in your browser. It's not as surprising because these are, older games. They don't take a lot of resources anymore, but they actually run really well in your browser. So if you've never had a chance to play a Mega Man game, you'd like to play one for 100% free, I do recommend starting with either Mega Man X or Mega Man 2. It's not that the original Mega Man isn't good, it's just very rough. But basically, this could be your perfect chance to do so. The Breath of Fire series is a great JRPG series as well. Breath of Fire 2 is definitely my favorite of the two here on the website. But overall, that's not the point of today's video to look at how these games run. I just want to mention they are here, and it is actually really fun that Capcom is letting you play all these games for free, and you can play through the whole game here on your browser. But now if we come back to the hub world, we're going to look at what exactly today's video is actually about, and that is the Capcom Super Elections that you can jump into right here in the middle. Now, if we click on this, it brings us to a vote page. Obviously, we're going to click on the vote button and we're going to go see what all of this is about. So now the first thing you need to do is you need to set yourself up with like a fake profile. Now I'm going to skip over this part. By the way, you will have to most likely accept cookies and blah, 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 but you can always clear out your browser after. But here, basically, you just choose like two different categories. You say what systems you have to fill out your region, date of birth, gender if you want to, and basically give an email address. Now I'm going to skip over this step and we'll see each other at the actual voting part, because that's the part that is super important and that I would like all of you to fill out. Even if you don't want to vote for Mega Man, at least vote for whatever franchise you would really love to see, although I'm hoping it's going to be Mega Man. Now, once you have that small profile created, it drops you into the voting sequence with question number 1. And this is a very open question. Which of the following Capcom games do you like the best? And it's actually so open that you have to type in the name of a Capcom game and it'll pull you up the whole list of those games. Now, these are not the questions we're super interested in today. However, most likely, if a lot of people start typing Mega Man or, Devil May Cry, it will most likely influence Capcom. But what we're actually looking at is some of the future questions, because you're going to see not only is this vote today going to possibly enhance the chance that we're looking at sequels to games that get a lot of votes, but it's even letting us look at what possible games Capcom already has in the pipeline, and they're probably looking at which to prioritize. So we're actually getting information about possible upcoming Capcom franchises as we're going to go through this voting sequence. So here, first, I'm going to very simply go and grab Mega Man X, because Mega Man X is probably one of my all-time favorite Mega Man games. Actually, X4 is my favorite overall Mega Man X game, so I'll be grabbing that one, and we'll go next. By the way, I have a great love for a lot of Capcom franchises, like Breath of Fire is another one, Final Fight, and more recently, like Devil May Cry, Resident Evil, all great franchises. But those franchises don't need as much help to get a sequel as Mega Man, which is why I'm sort of saying, let's vote for the Blue Bomber, because you know what? We're going to get a new Resident Evil game no matter what happens. Capcom is not going to drop that franchise. But Mega Man, Mega Man 11 was already sort of like almost a push for them. So let's try and get Mega Man X maybe a sequel here. But obviously you can vote any way you want. The most important thing is that you vote, however. Like, let's bring some attention to some unknown Capcom series. But you'll see there's a few questions that are specifically directed at series that Capcom haven't worked on in a while. So now we're at our favorite Capcom character, and once again, I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna choose a Mega Man. Actually, I want X, so we're gonna put Mega Man in one word because I know it's weird like that. But I'm gonna choose X from the Mega Man X franchise. But once again, very open question. You type the name of the character you love, and it comes up. Next, we have a question: what attracts you most to Capcom games? And they want you to select 3 of these choices. Whatever, just choose. I'm going to go with exhilarating gameplay, unique and captivating characters, and let's see, difficult but satisfying, rewarding gameplay. There, let's go. I looked at all of these. These are the 3 that make most sense. Let's move to the next one. We're still not at the meat of the issue. We're still not at what exactly is the excitement about today's video. Next, however, what image do you have of Capcom? Once again, another one that we're just going to go very quickly. I would say masters in its craft. Capcom know what they're good at. They're generally very good. Like, look at the Devil May Cry games. Yeah, it's great. They're great. They were pioneers back in the day. They're sort of maybe a little safer nowadays, but they're still pioneers. Look at Resident Evil. Look at even Mega Man was like a basis for all action shooting platformers. It's great stuff. And the hub of amazing creators. Let's go with these 3 next. Here is where we get to the meat of today's video. They're asking, are there any Capcom series, including spin-off games, that you would like to see a sequel or new game for? And people, here we have some amazing series that might just need a helping hand. Darkstalkers is one. And I'm going to say, when I went through this list, I was torn. I was torn because you can only select 3. I would have needed 4 choices. I would have really needed 4 choices. And even the ones I haven't chose, it's not that I don't want to see sequels. It's that there were 4 series that really made me have to make a very difficult choice here. Now, obviously, Mega Man is down here. I want to see a new Mega Man game. Please, my God, give me a new Mega Man game. Breath of Fire is my choice number 2. Like I said, if you've never played a Breath of Fire JRPG, my personal favorite is the 3rd one on the PS1, which is not free to play here, but it is an amazing JRPG series. I would love to see one done with like today's technology and everything, but it is a great series. Obviously, you guys will be able to choose whatever you want here, but, I'm just making a case for my 4 favorites. Final Fight. Look, if the Streets of Rage remake is any sign of what we could get from Final Fight, I'm all for it, which is why this is one of the last ones I was considering. And my other one door that was tearing me apart is Darkstalkers. I really love the Darkstalkers series. It's a fighting game, much like the basis of Street Fighter, but using characters from like that are takes on the universal monsters. So you have like a werewolf, a vampire, a succubus, basically great characters. There's a fighting collection. The Capcom Fighting Collection actually has, all three Darkstalkers games. They were a great series. And ultimately, though, I went with Final Fight just because fighting games nowadays, like the market, you can only play so many fighting games, in my opinion, because it takes a lot of time and effort to put in. And I wouldn't have time to put into a new Darkstalkers, but a great little beat 'em up title, I would. So that's what I went with here. Okay, but obviously you have 1942. That's an interesting choice. Dragon's Dogma, we already know is getting a sequel, so it's here. But like, come on, Street Fighter just got one. Ace Attorney just got one. Devil May Cry just got, well, not just got a series, but it's a series that, in my opinion, is healthy. Either way, you guys can choose whatever you want here. My top 3 picks are right here. But God, please, at least choose Mega Man. Come on. But I'm joking. You guys can take whatever you want. But it's not over yet, because this next one is probably one of the most interesting pages of the whole video today. So if you haven't been paying attention till now, now's the time to definitely pay attention. Here they're asking us, is there any game that you would like to see completely remade with the latest technology, including characters design and story direction? And people, we have Mega Man 1, 2, and 3. We have Gargoyle's Quest 1 and 2. These choices are not random. What this means is that Capcom is probably already looking at remakes of all the games you see here. And this is probably to prioritize which ones they should be putting most effort on, or even possibly which ones they should put aside and which ones they should move forward with. Now, this is one of the toughest choices overall. For me, it was easy. But probably it was easy, but not at the same time, because there's a lot of remakes I would love to see. I already talked about it. Breath of Fire 1, 2, and 3. I would love to see a remake, especially the third one is my favorite. So that would be a great gaming experience. But the offer here is Mega Man 1, 2, and 3. And this is going to be my choice for today. But, I mean, Gargoyle's Quest 1 and 2 could be an awesome remake as well. The Ace Attorneys, I find, wouldn't... I'm not going to say they don't deserve a remake. I just don't see that they're going to benefit as much from modern technology, given the style of gameplay. Onimusha is another very interesting choice. And Final Fight, obviously. But to me, the 2 top choices were here. And there's no other way about it. I had to choose my boy Mega Man. But it's crazy to think that Capcom is most likely already thinking of a remake to these games. And you know what? It's not a bad thing. Because as I said earlier, Mega Man 1 is a little rough. Mega Man 2 and 3 are classics, so they have to be remade in a very, very good way to be worth remaking. But I do think it would be maybe also one of the best ways to bring Mega Man to a modern audience. And if we look at Mega Man 11, if we use the same type of awesome graphics and gameplay that Mega Man 11 had, but you bring that to Mega Man 1, 2, and 3, we could be on to something really freaking awesome here. And it's really nice to see that Capcom is actually thinking about these things, because a lot of people feel right now like Capcom has completely forgotten about a lot of its older franchises and is basically focusing on Resident Evil Remake, Resident Evil 2 Remake, Resident Evil 3 Remake, which are great games. Do not think I don't love those games. They are great. But it's fun to see that they recognize their older franchises and that they know they haven't brought out anything for those fans in quite a while. And that's why today's video is so important, guys. Go and vote here. But let's hit this up. We're going to go next on this. And lastly, they finish up with a couple of really interesting questions asking what is the first ever Capcom game you've played? And for me, it was actually Mega Man 4. Mega Man 4. Mega Man 4. So I'm going to drop this down here. And which Capcom game has influenced you the most? Now, this one was a hard one for me to think, but I'm going back to Mega Man X. I'm going back to Mega Man X here. And I mean, these last two questions I don't think are going to really affect the whole voting for the rest overall. But I do think for me personally, when I was a kid, I always loved 2D platformers and I always loved Mega Man. But when the first Mega Man X came out with the possibility to get those armor upgrades that pushed the gameplay up that extra little step, that gave you a reason to replay some of the levels after to find those hidden capsules and blah, blah, blah. Like, it was basically just where it shifted for me from a great game that I love to play to like, oh my God, this is my top gaming series for the moment. So that was really the shift for me, and that's why I'm going with Mega Man X. Now, I said earlier Mega Man X4 is my favorite because to me it was like the culmination of the X franchise, but the high point, if you will. But Mega Man X, you know, is the one that influenced that direction, in my opinion. After that, we're actually faced with a really interesting question. Capcom's asking us what's our biggest complaint with them. To me, it's reboot old IPs already. Like, it's really funny that they put that option there. I think Capcom is finally listening to social media and listening to everyone out there. So it's really funny. And you know what? This video's turned out to be way longer than I thought. So we're going to go answer whatever you will here. But to me, this is really one of the things that I think Capcom needs to work on. And this last question, when I looked at it, it was really weird. We welcome all your support for Capcom. Yes, no, it depends on how Capcom acts. Now, I don't think that they reread this question because it makes no sense. Like, we welcome all your support for Capcom. I think is, do you want to give all your support to Capcom or something? It's yes, no, depends how Capcom acts. Like, I think this is the most logical answer here. But I mean, you guys answer whatever you will. You can say, we love Capcom. I'm going to support them no matter what they do. But I can't really answer honestly that. So I'm going to be, it depends on how Capcom acts. And lastly, you can submit any final comments here. For today's video, I'm not going to focus on any of this. So I'm going to write something up for them after. But you can also leave it blank. They tell you can leave it blank. So this is not a required part or whatnot. But you can always give them some final thoughts if you want to. And then they give you a little sort of review of all your answers. And we can hit the vote button here at the bottom to send away our vote. Get the thank you for voting. And you know what? On top of it, depending on where you are in the world, you might be actually eligible for a free gift from Capcom. It's going to be a drawing. I didn't want to talk about this any earlier in the video because it really depends what region of the world you're in. But some regions of the world, you actually have the option for different little gifts. And it is a drawing, however, so it's not a guaranteed gift. And look, even me, where I live, I'm not eligible for the gift. So I didn't want to talk about it any earlier. But if you are in the US, you are going to be eligible for the drawing for a free gift. There's little like collection sets. You get to choose which one you want or whatnot. I basically tried setting up in a different region and I saw what those gifts are. Trust me, guys, it's nothing to it's nothing to go crazy about. They're fun little gifts, but if you're not eligible like I'm not, it's not something I'm gonna be crying about for years to come. And voting in these elections, guys, is that mission I was talking to you all about. Obviously, it's one that you can accept, you can put aside, but if you're a huge retro Capcom fan, I think that this is a really nice chance to have our voices heard. A lot of people out there are asking for a new Mega Man game. Of course, if they make it, we have to buy it. Don't forget that part. Because, you know, if we want more after that and you don't buy it, there's going to be a problem because we're not going to get them anymore. But I do think that this is a really interesting site. And even if you're not into the vote, the free games, the artwork in the different museums, there's going to be merchandise that's going to be exclusively available through here sometime soon as well. There's actually a lot of interesting things here. Check out the website. Like I said, the link is down below in the description of the video, top pinned comment. This video's gone on long enough, however, but seriously, guys, I think you can all tell I'm a Mega Man fan. I want my new Mega Man game. I would love to see a Breath of Fire as well. But at this point, just don't forget that if you did like the video, hit that like button, subscribe if you aren't already, and click on the notification bell so you know when all my future content comes out. And as usual, I hope I'll see all of you in my next video.